Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Queenie. For those who don't know me, reviewing the Ultimatum Season 2, Episode 2. Episode 2, well, and 3. Okay, so guys, keep the conversation in the comments based on what happened in these episodes. Please and thank you. I was so mad when y'all spoiled it for me. Anyways, before I get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe and hit the bell, and leave a comment, not a spoiler, down below. Okay, so like I said, we're going to talk about episode 2 and 3. I feel like the bulk of the drama was in this section of episodes. So, Lisa claims, as we know, she did the whole face smush thing to Brian and all that stuff because he was talking to Raya. She feels like her frustration with Brian talking to Raya is because she doesn't challenge him. I'm going home.
That's fine. You can do that, but that's lame though.
But this bitch ain't got nothing to offer, and that's who you connecting with. Why? Because she's probably easy and can give you some ass. Go ahead. I can see if it was Roxanne, a boss bitch you can actually learn from and be challenged with. But you're not learning anything from this bitch. This bitch ain't challenging you. This fucking dense ass female, she's not challenging you.
Guess what? I don't give a fuck.
Okay, great.
It is absolutely clear that this is a pattern for these two. I don't know if face smushing is the extent of Lisa's retaliation when Brian doesn't do the things that she wants him to do. Considering the fact that they did that on camera, I'm inclined to believe that worse has happened, especially since Brian was just so unfazed by it. He was unfazed by the disrespectful way that she talks to him. He's unfazed by the physical force that she inflicted on him. I'm like, this is giving a very toxic, potentially abusive, not potentially, can we even say like it's abusive. Anyways, I'm looking at Lisa like, girl, your concern is not the fact that Raya does not challenge Brian. Because realistically, you feel like you challenge Brian, and you feel like, you know, your biggest flex is the fact that you're a self-made woman and he doesn't have to do anything in order to like provide for this marriage. Like, that is your biggest flex. And it has not worked. It has not worked. Maybe he doesn't want to be challenged. Maybe you're too challenging. Like, she just doesn't like the fact that her position in this relationship is being threatened. And it didn't matter who it was. She was going to find she could have probably found something bad to say about Ryan. And Ryan in this process is probably like the most sweet, like, can't do no wrong oh, well, there's Kat too. But yeah, I'm just like, girl, if they stay together, that'd be a shock for me. But I feel like in or out of this experiment, Brian is leaving. Alex and Roxanne, such a weird pairing to me. I really don't see it for them romantically, but they feel as if there's a lot of nervous energy between them.
This isn't intelligence. It's cool. I like intelligence.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to be around. It's challenging to be around.
Okay.
I like to be challenged.
I'm like more nervous. I'm like, damn. Because I think it's getting to the point where we have to make a final decision. Like, who are we going to do this marriage thing with?
You're scared of marriage. You're scared that somebody's going to slow you down.
Maybe. Alex has all this shit figured out when it comes to investments and planning and having properties, and I think that's kind of sexy.
When I look at Roxanne, I think her name is Shira. I think of Sprinkle Sprinkle. I cannot blame her. I feel like a lot of women would love for a man to be financially free, financially stable, affluent, if you might say, because I don't want to struggle in life. I don't want to struggle with my partner. Like, why would I do that? If I was not struggling on my own, I definitely don't want to struggle in a marriage. I'm not sure if Roxanne is really into Alex, or she's into the fact that he exhibits a lifestyle that she is okay with engaging in. Yeah, I don't see it. They say that there's some kind of like tension there between them, but I'm just not feeling it. Kat and Antonio talk about their feelings of insecurity and jealousy towards their ex-partners.
Roxanne she's a lot more successful than I am.
Yeah.
As far as like, I mean, I'm knocking on the door though of like getting to the point where like I could really cover everything.
I feel like a lot of like hard conversations, I like just kind of shut down a little bit. I'm like, okay, I just don't want to talk about it. Let's just forget that happened.
What can they bring out of each other? If you're passive with your own partner that you love and you have a history with, how much more passive are you going to be with somebody that you just met and you know it's an experiment? Like, I don't know if they're actually going to learn anything from each other. And these two, they just ooze insecurity. They just ooze insecurity. They should have been on a different show. They should have gone on couples. They should have gone on couples therapy. Now, that would have been a good show for them. James and Raya, again, are a shocking couple, and I've watched ahead, and these two, it's interesting. I, however, would like for James to connect with Raya on more things than just being raised by a single mom.
Something that I feel like we've connected on a lot is us coming from a single parent background. I always wonder where I would have been if my dad
Was still
hadn't
here.
passed away. Yeah. Really wish I could have seen my mom.
Happy with him.
Yo, let's not do this.
A part of me feels like James has some open wounds, and if he's going to be in any relationship, even the one that he came here with, he's going to have to start the healing journey. Otherwise, he'll just be bleeding all over his partner. I understand that their history does play a part in the people that they are today. However, at some point, you're going to have to talk about how we are compatible as two people. Like, okay, you went through this with your mom as a kid, but who are you? And how are you going to show up in our relationship? Like, yeah, they've got a lot of similarities in terms of upbringing, but like, at some point, you became an adult. Let's talk about you as an adult. In my opinion, the better connection so far is between Raya and Brian. However, Brian comes with some baggage.
Financial stability because of trust. All those things are major factors.
I feel like you can't have a relationship without trust.
Yeah, a successful one.
I was pregnant 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I never heard a heartbeat. What point are you just like, well, you're okay without having kids?
Right. And are you okay with that?
Yeah. I'm missing that emotional connection.
Me.
And that's what I'm learning. Like, I didn't think I needed it that much, but I do.
I think for a lot of reasons, if Lisa wasn't in the picture, a good connection would be Raya and Brian, but who's trying to deal with that? Because even if they break up, you know Lisa's going to be lingering in the bushes. Like, a crazy ex? No, thank you. No, ma'am. No, sir. Don't want no parts of that. It's clear that Raya, and probably due to how she was raised, really wants her own independence. And I think that's where Trey struggles with her. His whole thing is, look at all I've got. Look at all that I can do for you. She wants to do for herself. And maybe because her mom was a single mom and she doesn't really have a connection with her father, she thinks to herself, like, what if things go wrong? What if my man leaves me and I'm just going to be in a destitute state? No, I need to have my own. I need to fend for myself and make sure that if anything goes wrong, I'm not going to be royally screwed. She also did open up about the fact that having kids is a struggle for her because she previously had, no, that's not them. No, she had a miscarriage. No, she did have a miscarriage. She had a miscarriage, so she's scared to conceive because it may happen again. And so I'm just deducing that in Raya's relationship with Trey, she does not feel safe physically, financially, emotionally, and that's what's really holding her back from taking that next step. Lisa feels like she's the only one in her relationship who's working towards marriage. You need to be working on yourself.
I know you have a lot of emotions, but I admire where your emotions are. You have so much passion about the shit you care about.
Not everybody sees it that way, of course.
If I'm talking with her, talking about like makeup and hair, and I don't know nothing about.
I wasn't always a girly girl. I didn't care for. I just started wearing makeup and stuff and caring about my hair like maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
I'm gonna give you a compliment.
Okay.
I think you were gorgeous, like stunning.
Besides beauty and maybe the fact that she doesn't want for anything because she's well off in her definition, I don't get the pull. I really don't. Then Trey goes on to talk about the fact that he and Raya basically don't connect on anything at all. And at this point, I was thinking to myself, why the hell are they even together? If memory serves me, I feel as if Raya had said the miscarriage she had experienced was 2 years ago. These two, if I'm not mistaken, have been together for 2 years. Could it be that situation, either the pregnancy or the loss of pregnancy, led them to now be complacent in a relationship that clearly does not work? They have nothing in common. They don't feel emotionally safe with each other. They have financial disparities. They have different perspectives on how life will be like in a marriage. Like there's just so many incompatibilities. You think to yourself, they must have been forced together by something. And if the math is mathing, it probably was that pregnancy. I didn't talk much yesterday about Ryan and Trey's relationship, but their values definitely align a lot more than Trey and any of the other women.
As we're narrowing it down, I don't know if you feel the same way about me, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know.
Well, I do. I really like you.
You grew up similar to how I grew up. Just like family structure-wise. When we talked about raising kids and whatnot, like you're pretty much identical with me. You're beautiful, by the way. I just want to say that. I love your style.
Yeah, I
I'm
always
being
like your
honest.
style too.
Yeah.
You know how to dress.
I have so much in common with Ryan and with Lisa. You know, talking to somebody that you have a lot in common with has been a life-changing experience for me.
I think that Trey's connection with Ryan would be the better bet. However, you can tell that his physical attraction is stronger for Lisa. So I'm wondering to myself, like, if he can build attraction with Ryan, there's so many similar names, with Ryan, this actually would be good, which is great for him because at the choice, Brian and Lisa decide to leave the experiment. Come to find out, Lisa says she is pregnant. The Lachey's had invited them to come and explain why they're leaving the process, but they didn't want to show up. So they show a clip of, what's her name now? Lisa telling Brian that they're expecting.
I'm pregnant.
You pregnant with my child?
Who has child?
I'm just saying, like, wow, this is a lot. Like,
I'm not saying like we're having a baby, so let's get married. Like,
are you so? I'm off the hook of the ultimatum, is what you say? All right, my bad. I don't think that changes how I think about marriage right now. I think it complicates things for sure.
By force or by fire. Lisa's going to make sure Brian is not leaving this relationship. If she has to throw tantrums, if she has to entrap him with a baby, you are going to be with me, is Lisa's perspective. Now, here's the thing. Joke's on you, Miss Lisa. The pregnancy trap doesn't work like it used to back in the day. A lot of people have a lot more autonomy when it comes to whether or not they're going to be a present father, let alone be a partner to the parent of their child. They don't want to do that. Like, if he does not want to marry you, he's not going to. If he does not want to be in a relationship with you, he's not going to. He can still be a present father and not be your partner. So I'm just looking at this situation like, I hope she is pregnant, but I have my speculations, and here's why. When you go on these reality shows, unless I'm mistaken, based on what I went through in a casting situation, you go through a physical. And so pregnancy is something that they check for. I'm speaking from what I went through. It might not be the same for the ultimatum. If she had gotten pregnant before the show, they would have known. And if she got pregnant during the show, she wouldn't know by now. She would not know by now. Some people were doing some sleuthing on Instagram and they feel like she is hiding a pregnancy. And my thing is, how long ago was this filmed? Because if she was pregnant during filming, by now she would be showing, unless it's an ectopic pregnancy. And even then, you still wouldn't know that soon. I have a lot of questions and concerns, but baby girl, I hope you get the desired outcome that you're looking for. Okay. At the choice, everybody's basically saying we're not surprised that they didn't show up. They kind of have a weird way of resolving their issues, more so on Lisa's side, but everybody's wishing them well. And I'm like, do we want to wish them well? Is that really what we want to do? I mean, you don't want to wish them ill, but she has some things to work on. I don't know if bringing in a baby at this moment is the thing to do. But your body, your choice. I'm not saying you should do anything to that pregnancy. I'm just saying I wanted a little bit more honesty with how they felt about this pregnancy. But anyways, let's go on to the decisions. The first trial marriage is between Ryan and Trey.
Ryan grew up more of an environment like I grew up in. Family's important, and it was very structured.
I feel like he's just very down to earth, easy to talk to. I kind of feel like he was like the boy version of me in a way. He'll talk about anything, any topics up for discussion. Like nothing's off limits.
I had a feeling that Trey was going to pick you. Because I feel like when I leave, I look for him. But when he left, I feel like he looked for you.
They never really talk about the fact that, obviously, there's the clear he's black, she's white. But before, he had this lifestyle of the cars and the house and the lifestyle and living the high life. I don't know that Ryan was living that kind of life, but I can assume she wasn't. So even lifestyle-wise, do they mesh? Don't know. We're going to have to see how that goes. She's also coming out of a 7-year relationship with a person that she's known, or the person that she's been with since she was 16. I feel like those are tough shoes to fill. Yeah, let me say that. Then the next marriage is James and Raya.
You make me think about what I want in the future. You made me realize that I do want to get married. I do want to have kids.
Hearing a lot of the stuff that you said and whatnot, be emotional and whatnot, and I don't know, it's making me question myself in our relationship.
Ryan and I have always had that issue where we don't always like to dive in. With you, it came a lot easier.
For some reason, he feels like he can't talk about with me. And it's just like this weird feeling.
Raya is clearly emotionally constipated when it comes to her relationship with Trey, and so she feels very relieved to be able to open up to James. There's also a thing with James where he's just so to himself. He's in his head a lot of the time, and I hope that in being in a relationship with Raya, she's able to get him out of his head and he's able to be expressive and he's able to just like flourish in this process. The next marriage, this is a couple swap, by the way. This is Wife Swap, the reboot, if you didn't catch on. The next couple is Antonio and Kat, but Roxanne is triggered when they're talking about the values that they appreciate in each other.
There has to be open communication, and I think that you pulled out that comfort.
I appreciate that we were able to open up, because I feel like sometimes you open up and the other person's like, no, you didn't. So I appreciate that was recognized too. I've only experienced a very introverted Antonio my whole life. I'm hearing you're being so talkative, but you said 2 words on our first date. Maybe I don't bring out that extrovert in you that maybe you love to be.
Roxanne, honey, you're not a safe space for him. You are not a safe space. And again, like I said, I watched forward, so I do know that there are pitfalls on Antonio's end as well. But in regards to Antonio being safe in this relationship, he doesn't feel that way. And so how could he be his full self? How could he be outgoing and present and emotionally expressive when he does not feel cared for, seen, valued in this relationship? Okay. As we know, the last couple is Alex and Roxanne. The way that Alex talks about his ex-girl, I'm just like, did you ever like her?
I'm honestly really glad you guys are together. I was excited that you'd date her in a weird way.
You're supposed to be jealous.
You're the polar opposite of my ex. Forward, direct, very witty, very smart. I like the energy of that. I like being around that. So very different, I would say. You're super independent. I wouldn't have to worry about anything going wrong with you, or it's nice to know that, like, okay, if we're married, like, my better half is out there working for us.
I didn't know there were personality things he was missing. I'm not trying to be bitter or anything, but I honestly really want you to figure that out.
Why does he talk about her in this way? And I'm glad that Kat spoke up for herself. Hopefully this is going to be a trend for her now, speaking up. But he basically said, Roxanne is all the things I want and everything that Kat is not. The way I would be a puddle on the floor, like, oh my goodness, like, do I mean nothing to you? Alex, no, I do not like the way that he talks about Kat. And so it is very clear that both Kat and Antonio have these insecurities in their relationships, and while all the other couples are figuring out their living habits and sleeping arrangements, these two are immediately going into, well, I'm insecure about this and I'm not as good as my replacement.
Here we have both of the people that we love with a person that scares the shit out of us.
Exactly.
Everything I'm insecure about, I think Alex exceeds in. I feel like the things that you came here to work on, Roxanne exceeds in. I'm curious how I'm gonna sleep tonight.
I know.
This is the most anxious I've been.
Again, I ask, how is this process going to benefit these two specifically? I think that they needed people who would challenge each other and not people who were exactly like each other. If anything, this process might feed into their insecurities even more because they're both harping on how less than they feel in their relationships. And then they each validate each other's insecurities. Like, yeah, I can see why you feel that way. I feel that too. But there's no call to action to be like, okay, we feel this way. How are we going to combat those feelings? So yeah, I don't know how this process is going to be for them. But anyways, James is struggling to process his feelings because he's realizing that he may have taken Ryan for granted.
I'm gonna go for a quick run. I just kind of need to work through some stuff.
It hadn't really thought to me like when she was listening to her talk about how she enjoyed conversation with some guys.
I feel truly apart from her. It's tough. It really is.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, I mean, in 7 years, especially coming from high school, it's easy to forget to appreciate the things in your partner and you end up taking them for granted. So hearing Trey say so many flattering things about Ryan, it was a wake-up call to James, right? But then I'm thinking to myself, successful marriage hopefully is going to be a lot longer than 7 years. If in the first 7 years you were able to get this comfortable and a little bit complacent, what could that look like in marriage? Especially too when you involve kids, if kids is what you want, if kids are what you want, and work, because he's only just now getting out of school. So you have work, you have kids, like everything that you were struggling with before can be amplified in a marriage. If you didn't appreciate her before, I feel like you would still struggle to appreciate her in marriage. I'm glad he's getting the wake-up call though, because Ryan seems like an amazing girl and she needs somebody who appreciates that. So at the end of these episodes, the sleeping arrangements are Antonio and Kat did not share a bed because they both want to respect their partners. Like these two, it's like they live to please their partner, and I hope that one day they can just start living to please themselves. Then you have Trey and Ryan who shared a bed. Roxanne and Alex, I'm assuming shared a bed. They didn't really show it, but I'm assuming that they did. James, as we know, ran away from the bed, but eventually my deduction is that they started to share a bed. So I would like for us to have an ultimatum season where all the couples who start the season can finish the season together, because although the wife swap does work, I think that there were some other configurations of couples that could have really challenged people. But yeah, I feel like the people who are going to take the most from this process would be Trey, Ryan, Raya, and James. Whereas Roxanne, Alex, Antonio, and Kat, I don't know. Roxanne and Alex, they do learn from each other in terms of what they have been missing. But then with Antonio and Kat, based on what I've seen so far, it looks like it's just like, oh, woe is us. Woe is us. Sucks to be us. Like, yeah, I would have wished that they had a more challenging experience. But anyways, it is what it is. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, please do not spoil it. Not for me or for the people who have not watched as far as everybody else, guys. Just talk about episodes 2 and 3. Okay? As always, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.